My talk is about the contagious nature of media in developing a democratic identity. I don't know what that means, to be honest. It just sounded cool as a TED Talk. But before I get into that, I want to talk about one of my idols, someone who passed away the day before yesterday, a great writer, amazing poet, fantastic journalist, a lover of words, a believer in the evolution of humanity and democracy, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Gabo. And towards the end of his life, he wrote an autobiography, and in the end of the autobiography, there's this scene where a porter comes up to him, which he already knew, and says to Gabo, he says, "Lo que no entiendo, don Gabriel, es porque no me dijo nunca quién era usted. What I don't understand, don Gabriel, is why you never told me who you were." And Gabo responds, "Ay, mi querido Lácides, no podía decírselo porque todavía hoy ni yo mismo sabía quién era." For those of you who don't speak Spanish. I couldn't tell you, my dear Lácides, because even I didn't know who I was today. And, well, Gabo, that's how we like to call him. I mean, I don't know him personally, obviously. But Gabo, he liked to incorporate like magic realism into his stories and incorporate that magical element into ordinary life events. And he understood that our understanding of ourselves was something fickle, something that continued to evolve, because he didn't even know who he was, a Nobel laureate, right? He should be able to say, "Oh, I'm Gabo, I'm a Nobel laureate, who are you?" But no, it was like, I don't know who I am. And well, this ties into identity. And well, how do you identify yourself? Really, how do you identify yourself? Is it, I don't know, by what you like to eat, which music you like to listen to, your background, your beliefs? But they change. Your fashion changes, your favorite things change. One day you decide you like this, the other day you decide you like that. Your identity changes. It evolves. It's in constant flux. Identity evolves. I want to repeat that. Identity evolves. And this not only pertains to the individual, but it pertains to the entire society in itself. Because we are part of a society, right? And as a society, we evolve, we change, our beliefs change, right? So how does this tie into democracy and a societal attitude, a societal ethos, in a way? Well, I want to talk now about one of my favorite paintings. This is a work by Frida Kahlo. It's called Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird. I don't know. But she was identified as being a surrealist by some experts in the art world. And, well, she didn't identify herself as a surrealist. She said, in fact, well, I am not a surrealist. I never painted dreams. I painted my own reality. Because your identity reflects, or rather, the strength of your identity depends on your environment and not on what surrounds you. And what surrounded Frida was, well, Mexico, which is where I'm from. So you have, these magnificent animals in the jungles, the Selva Lacandona, Chichen Itza, the wonderful pyramid, Los Cabos in the Pacific, the aquamarine waters in the Caribbean of Cancun, the snow-covered volcano, Popocatépetl, the luminescent Paseo de la Reforma in Mexico City, Day of the Dead festivities in southern Mexico, the blue agave fields in Tequila, Jalisco, cultural celebrations in Oaxaca, and finally the city that I'm from, Monterrey, my city of mountains, my home. It was an industrial capital, one of the safest cities in Latin America, brilliant and beautiful in its own right. But unfortunately, what was it, like 7 years ago, it became overridden by violence. It became one of the drug violence hotspots. We were caught in a war against drugs. Some people called it a civil war because there were shootings everywhere, and it was full of blood and brutality. People being beheaded, corpses hanging from bridges. It was pretty awful, pretty gruesome. And you had scenes like these on the way to school. Mexican militaries patrolling the streets, shootings everywhere. And this was very surreal to us, to me. And as the murders began to escalate and as newspapers began to report that, well, we began to get really scared. But that wasn't the problem. The problem, or the problems, was that what the media reported, traditional media, local media, was partial truth. Not because they meant to, but because they were limited. And this caused a lot of confusion. And we were scared, and this fear began to grow and grow and grow. We did not know exactly what was happening. We were what we call, like in Spanish, la ley de Herodes, Herod's law, which is te chingas o te jodes. You get fucked or you get screwed. Because we were caught in a corner in a Mexican standoff, a type of Mexican standoff. We did not know what to do. We were afraid, and it was increasingly suspenseful, and more tension and more fear. And it began to grow and grow and grow. And then it was even stereotypical, like, caution, this is Mexico. Don't go out on the street, you'll get shot. Literally, you can get shot. And our parents would say, like, no, don't go out, you'll get shot. This is dangerous, don't. And we're like, what the hell is going on? Sounded like a badly scripted Hollywood Western depiction of Mexico, with cowboys and everyone shooting. I'm like, this is not the city that I know. This is not the home that I know. But here's where the story changes. Twitter comes into the picture, social media. There was an account created called Balaceras Monterrey, which you could follow, and that basically told you where shootings were in the city, whether near the McDonald's or the cinema, anytime, anywhere, any place. Balaceras Monterrey was there. It became more trusted than traditional media. And I think this marks a very important and significant shift in the trust of the public versus traditional media to a more democratic base of information. Because in Mexico, we have a media monopoly. I mean, you have like the traditional Grupo Reforma, newspapers and all that, but we also have conglomerates for, television. Televisa and TV Azteca. Those are the basic, the two big ones. And media is supposed to encourage a democratic environment, right? Free media, blah, 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 all that stuff. And during the presidential elections, we had 4 candidates. Well, they were supposed to broadcast this debate, and the debate was going to be presented as a neutral exercise towards the evolution of a better democratic education, and it was to be taken seriously. Well, it was according to the Federal Electoral Institute. But what happens, the monopoly, there's a competition between these 2 big heads. They're like, no. TV Azteca said, no, we're going to play a soccer match. Screw that. Screw the presidential debate. Screw democracy. We're going to have soccer because it's more popular. And Televisa was like, no, we're going to do the presidential debate. So it was basically to see who got better ratings, right? Well, challenge accepted. What Televisa did surprised us, a lot of us, because the winner of the presidential debate was not any of the 4 candidates from the 4 official parties. It was, in fact, well, people said, not actually, but people said, the debate aide, Playboy Bunny, Miss September 2008, because that was anything anyone talked about afterwards. Not about the political, social, and economic reforms of the candidates. I want to do this, I want to do that. No. My God, her cleavage. Oh my God, her dress. Can you believe that? She was the winner. Miss Playboy was the winner. So here you have a combination, with the shootings and everything, of an inability of government to govern. And you combine this with the inability of media to accurately report. Well, what are you left with? The perfect surreal state. It's one that we proudly and yet ironically praise with like, Viva Mexico. Viva Mexico. Ay. But, this is a state where even the most surreal of surrealists, Salvador Dali, maybe you've heard of him, he said, I'll never return to Mexico. I cannot stand to be in a country that's more surreal than my paintings. No. So, in a state like this, how do you identify a democracy? Or better yet, how do you develop a democracy? Some people propose that it's like through education. But the educational system in Mexico is a bureaucratic, centralized mess that doesn't encourage people to read, and where books are expensive, and it's just horrible. Unions, and it's horrible. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. And then you have, this is, I think the best way I could describe it is the Mexican Barnes & Noble. It's Librerias Gandhi. And, well, books are expensive, as I said, and people don't read. So they brought out a series of ads, which I thought were very funny. Some people thought it was insulting, but I thought they were hilarious. It said, 4 years being in Mexico, and it seems as if we were never here. Well, it's true, but so traditional education has not worked. So how do we get around this? Well, there was an article in The Economist about democracy, about ignorance and strength, and how the more ignorant people were, the easier they were to manipulate and handle, and how in order to develop towards a more democratic state, you had to educate people. But in Mexico, and not only Mexico, but most of Latin America, traditional systems don't work. At least that's what we've seen, right? Or experienced. So this is where we got to rethinking about democracy. Mexican style, of course. And, well, what we came up with was this, about a year ago, Newsican. And Newsican basically, well, what we wanted to do, our solution was to provide, or rather embark, not traditional, but embark the technological tools that we had in our hands and kind of funnel them into educating people in a digestible and easy and accessible manner. We wanted to construct a critical judgment by, well, decoding news. Now, we wanted, this is part of our philosophy, we wanted the democratization of information. We wanted to revolutionize the transmission of information in Mexico. And we have a whole network right now: New York, Washington, Austin, Monterrey, Guadalajara, Querétaro, Mexico City. And a bunch of people, and more are coming with us every day. And we wanted to use social media in a new way, Facebook and Twitter, but also to build a community. Even unconventional social media sources that we don't use to educate or to spread news, like Instagram or Snapchat, well, we wanted to use that and experiment with that. Even Google Plus and Pinterest, I guess. Because we wanted to provide information, as I said, in a digestible and easy manner. I think that's really understandable. But not only that, we wanted to transcend language barriers, but not only making it in Spanish, but making it in English as well. And not just transcend language barriers, but also transcend social barriers. And talk about issues that are traditionally taboo in traditional media, because they are relevant and they should be talked about. Because we want to educate the new generations. We want to grow. We want to change. And it's not only just about black and white here. It's about providing a more colorful and more interesting perspective. One where you have your own critical judgment. And one where you can think for yourself and you can develop a sort of positivity about your own country. So not only be like, ay, Mexico, but be like, ay, Mexico, like proud of your own society. And it's not only Mexico, this relates to everybody. Not only Latin America, but in the US even. I mean, there's corruption everywhere, there's issues everywhere. But we understand that, this is one of my favorite quotes, la neta es chida, pero inalcanzable. The truth is awesome, but ultimately unreachable. But still doesn't mean that we should strive for it or that we should, try to pursue it. I mean, like Gabo said, we don't know who we are. We are evolving, and our identity is forever changing. But the best thing we can do is evolve with it. We cannot stay still. And, well, we launched today, actually. Thank you. We launched today at midnight, and can only hope, we can only see that we can add that magical element into everyday events and change the course of history. I mean, it's a utopian ideal, but the purpose is to dream it in the first place. Thank you.